Good morning, Westminster. It's good to talk with you again here on another Friday morning. As I come to you this week, I don't have a lot to update you on, but I want to say, first of all, just how much we're praising God and thanking Him as we've heard from so many of you as we've been making phone calls, as our elders and deacons have been reporting on their conversations with you. Just so thankful for how God's been providing and giving us joy and many blessings during this time. At the same time, I know that there are a number of you who have been out of work and have other challenges and needs, and we're praying for you. And just a reminder to let us know if we can be of help in the coming days or months. Also, I wanted to ask you to be praying for us as pastors and as leaders in the church as we start to need to make some decisions about what our summer ministries are going to look like and what would it look like for us to start meeting again. When will that happen? How will we know? Just be in prayer for us as we continue to pray for you. And then lastly, I just want to give you this update that on Sunday, with Palm Sunday and Easter behind us, I'll be beginning a new series in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. We'll be looking at that together from the pulpit, and I would just encourage you, if you have time, maybe consider reading through these short letters as we prepare to work through them together. I also wanted to just share with you a few things that God's been teaching me in His Word this week. I have to say that at the beginning of this week, I was really rejoicing in God's goodness and many blessings that were evident even in this time of quarantine. I was so encouraged by Pastor Kiefer's devotional earlier this week, just encouraging us that our hearts can be calm like a weaned child because of our trust in the Lord. But if I'm going to be honest, later in the week, in the middle of the week, I have been not so calm, not so much like a weaned child. It's been very frustrated by the continued uncertainty and the lengthening time of this shutdown and just a desire for normalcy. And I'm so grateful that as I was wrestling with those things, God had me reading in the book of James, and it came to chapters 4 and 5. Really several things that were encouraging to my heart, urging patience as we wait for the Lord. In James chapter 4, starting in verse 13, we read, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that." It's hard to imagine a passage that could apply more aptly to our current situation. Who would have guessed a month ago that this is where we would be? And it's so easy for me to want some control or some certainty and to lay out, well, certainly by this date we'll be meeting together again, or by this date we'll be back to normal. And yet God's word encourages us that we not only shouldn't say things like that, but we don't need to say things like that. This isn't just a condemnation of us if we're too confident about our lives, but it's rather an encouragement that we can say, if the Lord wills, we will do this or that, because our God is sovereign. He is good. We can trust Him and His plan. We don't know what His plans are, but we know that we can trust Him. As I was thinking about this, my wife sent me some quotes from a devotional by Lilias Trotter that she's been reading, and the devotion was on the verse in 2 Peter. "With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. The Lord is not slow in keeping His promise, as some understand slowness." Then Lilias Trotter comments this way. She says, "We are proving these days that time is nothing to God, nothing in its speeding, nothing in its halting. He is the God that inhabiteth eternity." And then she follows with this comment, "I am full of hope that when God delays in fulfilling our little thoughts, it is to have Himself room to work out His great ones." Just with such great encouragement as we wait that God is working out His good plan. And His timing may not be our desire, but His timing is always good. The second thing that James said in chapter 5, was starting in verse 7, he says, "Be patient, therefore, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient about it until it receives the early and late rains. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand." These verses encourage us to patience and to wait for the Lord's time. But these verses were also so helpful because it reminds us that ultimately what we're waiting for is not the end of a quarantine. All our hopes and dreams will not be fulfilled at the end of quarantine. Rather, all of our hopes will be fulfilled when the Lord comes again. And this just reorients our hearts and our minds to what we're looking forward to, what we're putting all of our hope in. And so these verses were so encouraging to me, and I pray that they will be to you as we continue to wait patiently for the Lord's timing, both for the end of the quarantine, but most importantly, as we wait for him to come again in the fulfillment of all of his promises.